So stringing with Hwoarang is a difficult task. A lot of people get lost because of the huge move list that he has and not knowing how to apply most of these moves. So I'll be showing you a short beginner guide on how to string in left flamingo, right foot forward, and left foot forward. And of course, it's very important when you're stringing to know which moves go into which stance in order for you to create a specific flow. What do I mean by a specific flow? Here you start at LFF, and most of the time, most of your strings will be starting at left foot forward, which is Hwoarang's default stance here. Now I can immediately go straight from left foot forward into LFS, into RFS, and into RFF, in that particular order. And to do that, I'll do DF1-3, which puts me in left foot forward, left flamingo stance, and then I'll do LFS down 3-4, which puts me in right flamingo stance, and then I'll do RFS 2, which puts me in RFF, and I can create a new flow again because I'm in RFF. And it's very important to put yourself in a stance where you can block. So you'd like to end most of your flow or strings where you can block, just in case something goes wrong at the start, like your opponent interrupts you immediately, and you can block, and you can choose not to go in with what string you wanted to do, or you ended your string in RFF or LFF. This way you can block after, whether it was a check or a big mix-up. And if it was like a big mix-up, it was like RFS back 3 and you hold back and they don't punish you, at least you're safe. Let's say like the major important part of this. So the important moves you need to remember from left foot forward would be down 3-4, because it puts you into RFS. 1-2-3, left flamingo stance. 1-2-4, right flamingo stance. Up 4, right flamingo stance. And DF1-3, left flamingo stance. That's pretty much it. These are like small kit of moves, and of course it sounds like a lot, but it's a small kit of moves that you can already be using to start stringing from left foot forward and start pressure immediately, or go for like a small mix-up or a big mix-up, whatever it is you really want to do. So if I want to go string in left flamingo immediately, I would do stuff like 1-2-3 or DF1-3, going over to the options that I was saying earlier. So if we start with 1-2-3 and you're plus 11, once you're hitting the 7, 8, 9 range with Hwoarang, and you're most especially in any of these flamingos, left or right, most of your stuff's pretty much already uninterruptible. So you don't really have to worry about your opponent beating you or stepping a move, because most of the moves track quite well at that frame already. So if you do 1-2-3 at plus 11, just do whatever you want. So it's about what you want to do, right? You have to focus on what you want to do. What's the flow? So you started from left foot forward into left flamingo, and then you can opt to go straight back into left foot forward with LFS 1, and that puts you back into left foot forward, and that means you're blocking again. So you started from blocking to left to an area where you can't block, and back to an area where you can block and gain a big mix-up. So if we do that, that means you ended up at plus 5, which is very, very good for you, so that you can move or set up a counter hit. And the El Clasico forward 1+2, the double hand thrust, which gives like 70 plus damage in a counter hit. So it's like one flow, right? You start in left foot forward, and you enter left flamingo, and you end in left foot forward. That's one way to do it. Or you could end up in from left foot forward into left flamingo stance into right flamingo stance. And then here you have the option to, and since most of the RFS moves mostly keep you mostly transition Hwoarang to right foot forward or left foot forward, you can opt to enter left foot forward with RFS DF4, which is the axe kick that counter hits, or you can choose to do RFS 2, which will put you in right foot forward. And of course, just remember, you have to focus on the flow, the basic flow, which is be able to guard at the start and be able to guard at the end. That's like very, very important. If you're not able to do that, your flow is always going to be screwed. So what if you wanted to enter right Flamingo Pressure? Well, I've said this over and over again. I sound like a broken record already. Make sure you focus on pushing them with the RFS F4 mix-up, so this way they get forced to do a high crush. And that's pretty much all you're gonna really need. And you can keep them in check with this a lot. In literally any right flamingo situation, you can keep yourself in right flamingo by keep doing this, but you have to make sure you end again, start to finish. If you're doing it from right foot forward, you're guarding into right flamingo stance, you're not guarding, and then you keep yourself in right flamingo stance again, and then you bring yourself back to right foot forward where you can guard. So again, in flamingo. So if you opt to go from left foot forward into right flamingo stance, in right flamingo stance you can opt to end your pressure immediately, because right foot forward has options that end it, right? Which are launchers or knockdown moves. Unlike left foot forward, there are a few launchers here and there, but most of the things in left flamingo stance would enter into another stance or bring you back into left foot forward or right foot forward. Very, very fluent stance for pressure, and keeping yourself in pressure as well with LFS 3 forward. Yeah, so going back to right flamingo, we want to focus more on throwing this mix up at them and then choosing to either remain in right flamingo or right foot forward, or bringing it into straight up big mix ups with moves that end and give you oki options immediately. Of course, you can always opt to go back in left flamingo by doing left foot forward by doing stuff like RFS DF4 or RFS 1, and those are like mainly checks when you do that. And of course, it's very, very intricate beside each other. From left flamingo, you can easily enter that by doing down 3-4, and then you start focusing. Okay, do I remain in right flamingo? Do I go to right foot forward? Do I go into left foot forward? So basically, if you want to go into left foot forward, that means you're going back to checking. You want to return back to neutral most of the time. If you're remaining in right flamingo, it means you want to continue pressure and focus on giving them the mix-up. And if you want to end it in right flamingo, it means you're just going for a huge 50-50. So for left flamingo, how that translates is, I want to continue pressure into right flamingo for either a check, again those three options in right flamingo, or do I return safely back into left foot forward, or do I want to give a check launch? A check launch is stuff like hunting hawk in left flamingo or LFS on forward 4. You just want to check them. There's no really big 50-50 here aside from down 3-4. That's pretty much it. But it's not the same. It doesn't equate the same because it's a move that doesn't knock down. So right foot forward. This is the bully stance because it's got backlash, infamous move. So the moment you get to transition yourself all the way to right foot forward, whether that be manually in stance while moving around, or doing a move like RFS 2 or forward 2 from left foot forward, what you want to do immediately, most especially on hit, like if you get it on hit, you want to do the check. You want to do the mid check. But if you're entering it from a stance like RFS 2, you're plethora of options. It's exactly like left foot forward pressure, the default stance. So you can, but most of the time you'll be opting to enter into right flamingo most of the time. Most of the options from right foot forward are gonna throw you back into right flamingo, and you have to ask yourself 3 questions again every time you enter right flamingo. So stuff like RFF 2-4 forward, which puts you in right flamingo, down 3-4 since it's still available in right foot forward. RFF back 2 resets the whole thing but with more pressure because it's +4 and it's a counter hit knockdown. That way you get big oki right after it. That. Or you can still do DF1-3, you can enter left flamingo, or RFF forward 3, major plus, or you do RFF 4. There's plenty of options that you can do. RFF DF4. Like you notice that a lot of these are gonna just throw you back into right flamingo, and that's when you have to start thinking. So again, you connect it together. So okay, I'm in right foot forward. I'll do something that transitions me to right flamingo stance. So I'll do something like RFF DF4. So now what do? Do I want to check my opponent? Do I want to continue pressure? Or do I want to end it with a 50-50? So let's say I want to just check my opponent. I'll do RFS 1. Then I'm back in left foot forward, and then I can go back to neutral. And then think about how I want to set up my next big mix-up or small mix-up. So I could just move around and then be like, okay, I want to pressure, I want to give him a small mix-up, I just want to check. Okay, so there's an option to check in right flamingo stance. So I'll start from left foot forward into right flamingo stance and end it back in left foot forward. Yeah, once you get the idea and start to get the groove of this and know which moves transition into what, and focus on like maybe the broad general idea I gave you of each stance and what's like the purpose of each one, then you'll be able to connect these and create your own strings and give new definitions to each stance and create your own pressure in general. That's like basically how to pressure with Hwoarang in Flamingo. Okay, if your opponent's ducking on you, right? With Hwoarang, right? You have these moves. So you have LFS up forward 3-4, which is hunting hawk, and then you have LFS up forward 4, which is like really, really good in terms of beating people who duck. And in right flamingo stance, you have RFS back 3 and RFS up forward 4. So you use these 4 moves a lot when you're seeing someone duck.